All right. John Fetterman, rapidly becoming one of my favorite politicians. Are you a man? No, I'm not. I clarified that already. It's simple to get rid of my flags, affirm equal protection under the law for LGBTQIA plus community in Pennsylvania, plus legalize weed for Pennsylvania. Uh, John Fetterman, incredibly based, incredibly awesome. Uh, he has, like, first off, I don't know if you've actually seen this absolute unit of a lieutenant governor. Um, an absolute unit. I want to see this man all throughout politics. Uh, let's see. Let's get a good picture of him here. Look at look at this absolute unit, and like smoking hot wife. Oh, incredible. On top of that, amazing base takes. I want to be this friend. I want to be his friend. I want to like hang out with him. Like, we can go grab like beers or something with like him and his wife. It would be great. I feel like they would be really fun to hang out with, you know? He looks like he has some really great stories. True Truly a big chungus in the best of possible ways. Join us Canadians and chill with weed and beer. I agree. I'm not even a beer person, but I'd share a beer, you know? Also, Revolt Rise, thank you very much for your stellar modding skills. I do wish that like people could just be like, ask me if I'm trans. Like guys, it's okay if you ask me if I'm trans. That's a fine question to ask because I am trans. But like asking if I'm a man is a really weird question. Don't be weird. Don't be weird. Just ask what you want to know, you know? Whoa, that's I can't feel a thing. You don't smoke weed, but you love the smell of it. That's a weird combination, I think. Um, John and Gisele Fetterman are fighting for the working class. Fuck yes. By the way, guys, if you aren't reading Teen Vogue, what are you doing with your life? Teen Vogue is unironically one of the best political magazines out there at the moment. Um, like, like guys, they have an entire like recurring segment called No Class, an op-ed column by writer and radical organizer Kim Kelly that connects worker struggles and the current state of American labor movement with its storied and sometimes bloodied past. So based, so amazing. The 2020 presidential election remains caught up in the confusing morass of disinformation, squabbling, and baseless accusations of voter fraud. Amidst the chaos, it can be difficult to figure out what's actually going on. But in Pennsylvania, the state whose electoral votes ultimately tipped the election in Joe Biden's favor, at least one voice of reason has managed to cut through the noise. Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman's refusal to play along with the Republicans' political games has endeared him to those who have been reassured by his pragmatic, frequently hilarious cable news appearances, turning him and Second Lady Gisele Barretto Fetterman into social media stars overnight. I mean, how could they not be? I want like a fucking television series about these two. Uh, let's see. Adapt at baiting boneheaded politicians online. Fettermans have a long history of delivering material results for the Keystone State. Their work resurrecting the old steel town of Braddock. Man, I almost read that as Bardock. Jeez, that'd be cool. Um, where Fetterman moved to start a GED program and ended up serving as mayor for more than a decade, has provided a blueprint for how to revitalize the Rust Belt's forgotten burgs. Fetterman enjoyed a privileged upbringing in York, Pennsylvania, and planned to take over his father's insurance business, but the unexpected death of a childhood friend shocked him awake to life's unpredictable nature. He became involved in Big Brothers Big Sisters of America, very big brother. Um, and dedicated his life to public service. Years later, the Harvard-educated 6'8", heavily tattooed politician still seems to feel more at home at the Steelworkers Union Hall that sits across the street from the converted auto dealership that Fetterman calls home. He lives in a converted auto dealership? What? This is actually cool as fuck. What? This is cool as hell. What? I. What is this house? I love it. A poor man's mansion. I am kind of fangirling right now, and I should encourage you all. We're not. It's not a parking garage. It's a converted auto dealership. But like, I am fangirling a little bit. I like John Fetterman a lot. Okay, I think we need more politicians like John Fetterman. Um, and I think he's based in good. Um, Now, I do have to temper my expectations because all politicians let you down eventually. I just know that I'd like to hang out with him. Okay. I used to live in a Victorian mansion in this dude home town that had 13 bedrooms. Was 90 I? I don't know what that means. Hang Archangel the Cobb, don't be inappropriate. You're a mod. Chad has no meaning anymore. John Fetterman has eclipsed all Chads. True. True. Um, Dreamer who moved to the U.S. with her family from Brazil at age 8 and was taught by her mother to stay invisible for their own safety. Barreto Fetterman's own commitment to fighting injustice started young. Second Lady's nonprofit work is rooted in mutual aid and focuses on combating food insecurity, community resources, and representation. The free store she funded provides thousands of community members with necessities like clothing and housewares per month, and her 412 food rescue program has been a lifeline to low-income families during the pandemic. And when she was recently verbally attacked in a grocery store parking lot by a woman who repeatedly bombarded her with racial slurs, Barreto Fetterman declined to press charges, instead telling the New York Times that she hopes the incident will encourage others to speak out about racism. Damn, that's cool. Let's see. How do you think the election went? How do you feel about the Republicans? Yeah, okay, we can skip that one. Why do you think they're doing this? I don't know. I think the only possible explanation could be that there is an end game that suits his ego, or he has to go out on his own terms or whatever. I mean, it's dysfunctional no matter what the motivation is for the end game. But the truth is, the math doesn't care about your feelings, and the math on the ground in Pennsylvania is damning for the president. He knows it, we know it, and that's where we're at. Um, Even our kids who are 6, 9, and 11, they're like, "Mom, when we lose a game, you tell us to just take it gracefully and call it a day." Yeah, true. Um, let's see. I want them to talk about. Ooh, okay. Uh, what are what kinds of policies do people in Pennsylvania need for the next president to get us where we need to be? Great question. I'm a staunch, unflinching supporter of the union way of life. Hell yeah. I think of the union way of life is sacred. Unions have marked the upward surge of our middle class in America, and it provides a safeguard against a complete co-opting of the wealth that this economy generates from going to the top 1%. I'm proud to say that my family and I live directly across the street from a union hall, the Steelworkers Union, and across the street from a union steel mill. And no matter what my political path or trajectory ever has been or ever will be, it's always going to be the union way of life. Hell yeah. And Vice President Biden understands that, and as president, he's going to make sure that that's sacred and that's defended. I mean, we'll see. I think that Biden will, by and large, protect unions more than Trump would, you know? Backspace Dude, thank you very much for hitting the follow button. I appreciate it very much, comrade. I never understood why unions became a political football, to be quite honest with you. Isn't all work dignified? Isn't that sacred? Isn't the American dream that if you play by the rules and you work hard, you should be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor? You should be able to put something aside and your kids should be able to live a better life than you did, however you define that. Another thing that's outrageous is the minimum wage that we have in Pennsylvania right now. It's $7.25, the federal minimum wage. Florida, a state that voted for Trump twice now and affirmed him as president, and with a Republican governor, they voted for a $15 an hour minimum wage. So what's happening here? Why can't we all just acknowledge some universal truths? Like that unions deserve to exist and they deserve to share in the wealth from their hard work and sacrifice. Can you imagine anyone more critical during a pandemic than grocery union workers across the country who are on the front lines of the pandemic that no one knew was going to happen? And they did it, and none of them are getting rich. Show me a greedy, rich union member, because I haven't met one. They just want what they deserve. That is enough aside so their kids can go to school, a vacation, maybe 1 or 2 cars, and the ability to have bread and roses. This idea that we're not going to grind you down to the bare nub just to get by, that life can be comfortable, and it should be comfortable. So thank goodness for the vice president one, because Republicans' dream is right to work, where labor has no power, has no input, has no say. Yeah, we have a fucking low minimum wage. Yeah. And fun fact, if you work as like a server in a restaurant, you actually can work for less than the minimum wage because you have to survive on tips. So we have people who make like $4 an hour or like $3 an hour, and they survive on tips. Yeah, in Denmark, McDonald's pays $23 an hour, and you get matched 401k pension and 40 days off a year. Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah, if you're disabled, you make less than the minimum wage too. Yeah. People expect you to actually be able to survive on less than the minimum wage in this country. And the minimum wage isn't even a livable wage. Yeah, I mean, like, I can't feel a thing. Like, I work 4 different jobs right now. Like, so, and I don't make enough money to actually, like, live, separate from my parents. It's bonkers here. Let's see. Gisele, you're someone who came here with your family when you were very young and your mother had to work her fingers to the bone. At one point, you were undocumented and your family had to deal with all of these hurdles that shouldn't exist in the first place. What do you hope that this administration will do for immigrant workers who are struggling to get by on that level? Holy shit. Like, undocumented immigrant wife? This is incredible. There's a lot of plans lined up for the first 100 days. My mom, when she was working here as a domestic worker, we were in the shadows and undocumented. She was sexually assaulted at work and she was never able to report it. Fuck. She would work an entire week and not be paid because the family knew she was undocumented. There were no protections. And there's a lot of people today, like a single mom raising kids. How do you live on $7.25? How do you support a family? How do you work full time? You still can't feed your family and kids. So I think there's going to be so much change. And I read all the plans inside and out. I believe in them. I believe that this is a president who is compassionate, cares about families, cares about women, cares about children. I'm hopeful. I hope she's right. I don't have as much hope in Joe Biden's plans, but you know what? Maybe, just maybe, Joe Biden's failures will set us up for a future victory. Okay? And whatever his failures are going to be, they're not going to be as severe as Trump's failings would be. I mean, Mfinity, we're riding with Biden right up until he becomes president, okay? Right up until he becomes president. I worked as a mechanic. They pay flat rate, which means every job pays a certain amount. Sometimes you can work a whole week and not get paid at all. That's fucking bullshit, Revolt. My first job ever was $14 an hour, and when I was 14, it is disgusting that they pay people less than $15 an hour 20 years later. True. That is disgusting. What a beautiful family. I love how in like every picture I see of him, he's like not really smiling, but like what a fantastic family. Like showing up to Pride, draped in like pride flags, and god damn it, I love this family. Okay, anyway. Oh yeah, let's talk about the nonprofit work they've been doing in Braddock to tackle food insecurity. People everywhere have rallied to take care of their neighbors, and mutual aid groups have sprung up across the country. But as the pandemic has worsened, how can people who want to help get involved safely? This is great. The real heroes of this pandemic are the folks that stood up with the free store or the 412 food rescue, for example. This is Gisele. We had to change how we do everything. We had to close for a bit, regroup, figure out how we can reopen safely, but we began doing safe porch drop-offs of food, Narcan drop-offs to make sure families had what they needed. But it was always someone reaching out to me saying, I'm worried about my neighbor. My neighbor's really struggling. Can you bring something extra for them? And I saw that repeating over and over during this entire pandemic, just how much we care for each other and our neighbors. There's always an opportunity to help. Your local food bank for sure is struggling right now. Our lines in Pennsylvania have made national news twice. I mean, it was miles of cars waiting. It's just heartbreaking to see. So your local food pantry needs your help wherever you live. I would say, this is John, I would say if you're good, help make someone else more good. This Friday, Gisele is sponsoring a winter coat giveaway with hundreds of coats. Not everyone is in a position to do that, but if you're good, help someone else get to good. And that's always been my motto with that. And if it's an extra gift card for a neighbor, if it's extra food that you might have, if it's buying someone some gas so they can get to work, you'd be surprised how big a difference $20 or $30 or whatever could make to helping somebody just make it to their next paycheck or get to their next shift or keep food on the table for their family. These people are fantastic. Let's see. The work that you guys have done in Braddock over the last few years has been so inspiring. I'm from a dying town in the middle of nowhere. You know, there's a lot of people like me who may have left for a bigger city, but are worried that we just can't let our hometowns wither away. What advice do you have for people who want to follow your example to save more of these small towns that have been left behind? Just wondering, I noticed that a lot of trans women have a very nasal tone of voice, but you sound like you're talking comfortably in your normal vocal range. Is that just something that comes naturally, or did you need to do something specific to be able to talk like that? Mautad too. Basically, I've been podcasting for like a decade, and so that I think that kind of served me as a way of like learning to manipulate my voice a little bit. And like I know like a lot of people, a lot of trans folk tend to like shift their voice all the way like up into the nasally region. I just try and make sure that my voice is like coming from up here, I guess, rather than like down here. Um it's something that like I stressed out a lot about when I started transitioning, but like I have a lot of experience talking, and it's just something I'm more intuitively able to do, I think, than the average trans woman. Um, and like there are a lot of trans women who do like vocal training, and vocal training can change your voice in strange ways. Um, Not that it's something to be like you know wary about or anything like that. Oh, Anthropodian Squid! Hello! Welcome, Raiders! Thank you so much for the raid! Oh gosh, you... Welcome, everybody! Hello! Hello! My name is Jack. I am a market socialist. I talk about socialism. And yes, hello, Anthropodian Squid! I hope you're having a fantastic evening. I hope your stream went really well. We're just we're talking about transition voices. We're also talking about John Fetterman and his wife Gisele Fetterman. and this amazing interview in Teen Vogue. Um, hello, Making Lemonade. Hello, the Mana King. Hello, all of my squiddy friends, my inkiest of comrades. Hello. Um, handsomest robot. Hello. Indeed, top squids. Just phenomenal squids. If I caught you, I would be like, go back into the depths with ye, mighty squid beasts. Live your best lives. Um, um, so basically, I don't do anything specific to like modulate my voice. Really, this is just how I talk. I never went to vocal training. There are a lot of trans women who get like surgery to like change their vocal cords. This can be something that's fairly risky to do, but a lot of trans women don't care, and it's really a very individualized choice. So I didn't really, to answer your question, I didn't really do anything to sound like this. This is just how I sound. What if one latched onto you and didn't let go? Then they better start quoting Titanic, or I'll be very scared. Oh gosh. It did go well. We covered Australian politics and how Australian Christian lobby don't understand that the LGBT community and how conversion therapy is abuse. I don't get it. How can people not understand that conversion therapy is abuse? And Antipodian Squid, if you ever want to come on sometime to talk about conversion therapy, I'd love to have you. You know, we'll just here we go. Yeah, send me a friend request on Discord. We can talk about scheduling details and stuff. Also, feel free to join the Discord, friends, if you're inclined to be part of the Riverboat Gang. It's basically where people post good memes and cute fur babies, very good doggos and cattos. Just absolute units of animals. Look, it's a capybara. It's a capybara being a boat for a duck. This is the kind of content we have on our Discord server. So feel free to join and be awesome. One thing that helped me with my voice, granted this was much more situational, but I have a lot of alone time, so I just speak to my thoughts aloud to practice. Yeah, like, honestly, talking a lot helps your voice get better, because you can, another thing that really helps your voice is, like, recording it and then listening back to it, so you can hear kind of how you sound, which is what I did for years. So I have a pretty intuitive sense of how my voice is sounding. Yeah, I don't know. Well, the same people are probably the same people that think it's okay to beat your kids, so I think the idea what constitutes abuse is wholly fucked. True. I quack and love ducks. I love ducks very situationally. Most of the time they horrify me, okay? In terms of how they don't understand, the Australian Christian lobby think that criminalizing conversion therapy is oppressing as Christians. You're infringing on my right to torture you. Why are you infringing on my right to torture you until you agree with me? I should be able to torture you. They're my kids, I own them. I should be able to torture them until they agree with me. Jeez Louise. Conversion therapy is fucked. All right, let's finish this up. We're almost done. The work that you guys have done in Braddock over the past few years has been so inspiring. I'm from a dying town in the middle of nowhere. I know there's a lot of people like me who have left for a bigger city, but are worried that we just can't let our hometowns wither away. What advice do you have for people who want to follow your example to save more of these small towns that have been left behind? This is Gisele. We've always loved towns like this, both of us. So here it's been a lot of different things. It's been youth engagement, getting youth working. In some cases, this was the only family member that was working at the time. When we came here, there wasn't a single functioning playground, something that most communities will take for granted. So we work with a lot of great partners to try and bring as much as we could here to town. John says, it's just getting involved. You can't play if you don't step on the field, and whether that's running for your local council, whether that's running for your local school board, whether it's time or resources, whatever you can afford, and not giving into cynicism, not giving into a sense of helplessness, and acknowledging that sometimes you just need to meet people where they're at, and that there is going to be no perfect solution. It's not going to be like a Hallmark Christmas movie where you show up and suddenly it's all wonderful. There's going to be progress, there's going to be setbacks, there's going to be all kinds of challenges. Certainly the pandemic has amplified that inequality. It has in our community, it has in communities across the country, and my hope is that we will begin on that reckoning of closing the inequality gap that we have in this country. I know it's intimidating if you think, I'm not in the government, what can I do? But I remember one of my first initiatives. I lived in Newark, New Jersey at the time, and a house nearby burned down and everyone passed inside, but they didn't have a smoke detector. It broke my heart, and our whole block was devastated. I always say, find what really breaks your heart and work on that. So as a normal resident, I called up all the companies that make detectors, and I annoyed them until they sent me a shipment that I could give away. And a few people on our block gave it away to all of the homes and made sure they had them. And I wasn't involved in anything then. I wasn't the second lady, and there wasn't any politics. I was just a person who had a broken heart, and I think that that's what we need to use. We need to use that energy to find creative ways to help each other. Boom. Boom. Guys. That's it. That's it. This absolute power couple up here, 100% right. We cannot give in to doomerism. We have to keep the hope alive. And the best way to combat these issues that we see in our society is through solidarity. It's through direct action. It is through, if you have the means, running for your city council. It's for getting involved in your local politics. It is for getting our socialist ideas into places where we can actually enact them instead of sitting around kind of jerking off about them. And when we actually work with other people on these things, we can convince them that our ideas are better. Because you know what? Our ideas are better. The left has far better ideas than anything the right can bring to the table. Like, the right brings compromise with capitalism. That's all it brings. Like, what we have is far better. We can work for policies that actually improve people's lives. Decommodifying healthcare, decommodifying housing. We have great arguments for why we should do these things, because these things save money. They benefit the entire community. They allow people to get back to work. You can make great arguments for these to, like, conservative, and it still makes sense. And I know, because I've made these arguments to conservatives, and they've agreed with me. Like, you can fucking make socialist arguments to a right-wing nationalist and get them to agree on some of these things. And you know what? On very specific issues, you can work with people like that. You can't work with them as a coalition, but you can work with them on very specific issues if they're willing to vote alongside you. So what we need to do is make sure that we're at the table when these decisions are being made. We need to be at the table. We need to be in these halls of power. We need to be willing to do what it takes to put ourselves into the political sphere, because direct action alone is not enough. Direct action helps a lot of people. It's not enough. It's not a systemic solution. And we need systemic solutions to systemic problems. So, yeah. Let this be something that calls you to action. Let it be something that gets you thinking. We have an election here in 2 years. All across the United States, there are going to be elections for people in all kinds of different positions. So, consider that maybe you could be someone who gets involved in your local community and makes it a better place, And it's worth trying. It's absolutely worth trying. Um, let's see. Not giving into cynicism, not giving into a sense of hopelessness, and acknowledging that sometimes you need to meet people where they're at. We need to have this kind of attitude when we go forward and when we talk with people. And we need to be able to meet people where they're at, and we need to be able to make good arguments for our positions. And guys, this is why I made my Twitch. I know I say it like every fucking day. This is why I made my Twitch. I want to be able to reach people who don't necessarily agree with me, and I want to be able to talk with them, and I want to be able to convince them that I'm right. And I want to be able to grow this coalition that can work to make our country a better place. And hopefully, by making our country a better place, make the world a better place by extension, you know? And here's a hot, spicy take for you, okay? The doomer left is a non-entity. People who have doomed themselves into inaction are not on the playing field. If you have given up, if you have forfeited, you're not in the game anymore. So the only way to win this game is to play. And I came to play. I don't know about you, but I came to play.